So this is the video that is going to be about where I got my name from. And the lighting here is terrible. I know I shouldn't have waited until this late at night to do it, but I wanted to get the video out this weekend, so what the hell. Anyways, first thing is I didn't get this name from, I didn't get AzuriteReaction from like a television show, or it's not based off like a character in the media or something like that. It's actually based off of a rock. And I'm not a geologist person or anything like that, but the reason I picked that name, I had the burp there, the reason I picked that name is because I wanted to have something that could not be stereotyped. That was my first thing, is I wanted to have something that could not be stereotyped upon first look at it. Like if you're a geologist, you are probably going to pick up on the fact that it's a stone, but I don't think geologists make up, you know, a vast majority of the population. And so, like, if your name's like Surfer Dude, or, you know, Jungle Hunter, whatever, you know, you're going to automatically assume that, you know, this guy surfs, or he's a hunter in the jungle. You know, you're not going to assume he is a, you know, craftsman or something like that, because it's not in his name. So that's why I wanted first off was something that couldn't be stereotyped easily. The second thing, though, is that I wanted it to be something that actually related to me on some level, that actually had some sort of, I didn't want to just ram letters on a keyboard and just have blah as a name, you know. I didn't want it to be that, like, completely random. And so I went through a bunch of different like lists of words and things to try and figure out something that would fit those two qualities. And so after a short while, I don't know, maybe like a few days, I landed on a list of stones and like little biographies about that type of stone throughout history and stuff like that. And so I saw a picture of azurite, and the first thing that caught my attention was that it's a really radiant blue. In fact, the channel background on my YouTube channel is azurite. It's literally the stone. And so that caught my attention because blue is my favorite color, generally darker shades of it, and then also black and silver and gold are probably like my 4 favorite colors, so now you know. But, so I did that, and I thought, you know, hey, that's a pretty cool stone, but is there anything interesting about it besides being blue? And I looked at the little biography thing, and it said that in the Dark Ages, or, you know, way back when people thought that, like, stones had mystical powers, you know, and you could, like, cast spells with them or something like that. No offense to Wiccans or anybody like that. I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? People thought that azurite had 2 main properties. One was that it healed heart damage, or it bolstered the heart, and 2 was that it actually amplified a person's psychic abilities or gave them psychic abilities, something like that. Now, these both had relevance to me, but first let me say I don't think I'm psychic, and I don't think I can read minds. That's not specifically why it has relevance to me, so I'll get into that in just a second. But the first thing is obviously the heart disease stuff. If you watch Saturday's video, you know that I had a heart attack when I was 7 days old, and so therefore the heart disease thing, you know, obviously is something that relates to me. So I'm like, wow, that's pretty interesting. I don't think having the stone azurite, I don't think if I have the stone on me or something like that, my heart's going to get better. I don't think if I eat it, I'm going to get better or something like that. It's just an interesting piece of history when people thought that it actually did do this stuff. So that's why it's relatable. The second thing, the psychic thing, like I said before, I don't think I'm psychic, but everybody has at least one given natural talent that they're kind of like born with a affinity towards, that they're born with like a natural predisposition towards. And for me, I think that natural talent is the ability to read people, the ability to analyze and figure out what body language, all that stuff means. Like, people usually get body language on a subconscious level very slightly. Some people kind of pick it up in varying amounts. But with me, I've always been very, very like empathetic with that. I've always been just able to pick up on people's body language very, very well. From a very young age, people would comment about it and stuff like that, that I just seemed really perceptive of people's general emotions and behaviors and stuff like that. And as I got older and I was in a lot of social situations, I got even better with it. And I've always had zero fear of public speaking, of stage frights, of being out in front of people and like talking about something, of having like a crowd of people watch me. I can't remember a time when I got worried or scared of any of that stuff. And so because of that, I thought that while I'm not psychic, obviously, it tends to be in the same sort of realm there, you know, like reading people's minds, reading people's body language, etc. So, sorry, I had to cut that off there. I had a phone call and I didn't want to like blaring over the thing. Forgot to put my phone on silent. Anyways, so yeah, so what I was saying was that while I don't think I'm psychic or whatever, the whole thing about, you know, reading people and reading minds, it's like kind of the same thing. Like I took a little bit of a liberty there with that, you know, but you get what I'm saying. I don't think I'm psychic, whatever. Anyways, so that's why I picked that thing. That's why I picked azurite. Because of the heart thing, the reading people, body language thing that I took from it, and the fact that it's a blue stone, which is my favorite color, and that it can't really be easily stereotyped. You know, you're not going to look at azurite and say, well, he's a blue stone liker guy. You know, you're not going to do that. So then I didn't want to have the name just azurite, though. You know, because that, I don't know, I just didn't want to have the name azurite. So I thought of something that would fit the name as like a verb, like some sort of like action verb that would make it more of a fuller name, kind of like stand out type thing. And so I went through a list of names. Most of them that kind of came up in my mind were things to do with percussion because of drums, you know, and I didn't want to be stereotyped, but it just seemed to fit. But then I did land on reaction, and it made sense to me because reaction in this sense would be like saying the reaction that azurite has on a person, because that's what it was all based around, was the mentality that back in the Dark Ages or whatever, that people thought that azurite would have this reaction on people. And again, to reiterate, I don't think it has that action on anybody, and it definitely doesn't have that action on me. So I'm just saying this because I know I'm going to get comments of people saying, you know, oh my god, you're a loony bin, you know, whatever. So that is basically it. Although at one point I was between AzuriteReaction and AzuriteReaction, and I asked a bunch of my friends, I kind of polled them and said, hey, you know, do you think Azure or AzuriteReaction is better? And the vast majority of people said AzuriteReaction, so I said, okay, I'll go with that. And so that is where AzuriteReaction comes from. So yeah, that is the story.